All right, we will go ahead and get started. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. My name is Kara Franstead. I am the COO at KMH Financial Services with Kim Herman as the CEO. Most of you know us already, and we're here to talk to Jeff Lanza, who is an identity theft and cybercrime expert. Thank you to Natixis for joining us up with Jeff. John Mary's here with Natixis. And Jeff, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Kara. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Welcome to my event today. I spent 20 years as an FBI agent. For most of my career, I was involved in white-collar crime. That doesn't sound exactly right. I investigated white-collar crime. The two types of white-collar crime that we'll be talking about today are cybercrime and identity theft. And I like to focus on how we stay safe from these crimes. Sometimes in my retirement from the FBI, the national media will ask me to do television interviews. What you're looking at is a screenshot of an interview that I did on CNBC. And they asked me on the show, how the hackers commit the crimes. We're going to get into that, but mostly focus on how we stay safe from those types of attacks. So first in this presentation, I'll cover identity theft, and then we're going to talk about cybercrime from two different angles. There is a handout that goes with my presentation that looks like this. Hey, Kara, can I just verify that you can see my handout on the screen?
I can see it.
Okay, so this handout is this is the first page. It's the executive summary. There's 4 more pages included in this handout that has everything we're talking about today, plus a lot more information. So this will be your permanent resource to today's presentation. And Kara and her team, they will get this handout to you by email following the presentation. So again, thank you for joining us. Before I get into the presentation, sometimes when you're on national TV like this and it's live, they ask you questions that you don't know the answer to. And when that comes up, it's a problem. So one time they asked me this question. They said, Agent Lanza, how do you know a meth lab when you see one? Well, that's the wrong agency. See, that's the DEA, not the FBI. But I got to come up with an answer because it is live TV. So here you go. How do you know a meth lab when you see one? All right, there's your yellow lab. There's your black lab, chocolate lab. And there's your meth lab right there. So CNBC was shocked by that answer. But I use this example for more than just humor to also show you sometimes you don't always get what you expect that you're going to get. When it comes to cybercrime, there's a lot of sleights of hand out there. And we'll talk about those tricks and what to look out for. But first, a couple of simple things to do to protect your identity. Set up your online Social Security account. This is especially important if you're 62 or older, because if a criminal had your information from some data breach, they might be able to generate your Social Security benefits sent to their bank account by signing up for an online account using your identity. They can't do that if you have an online account. So set it up at ssa.gov. It's called your My Social Security account. It's a great way to stay safe from one type of fraud. Set up your online Social Security account. I also recommend freezing your credit reports. We almost have to assume our Social Security number is out there. There's been so many breaches involving Social Security numbers. And this is an example of a success story. It's where the FBI and the IRS took down a series of dark web pages where they were selling personal information, namely Social Security numbers and dates of birth. They were wholesaling it to people. And look how many people had it for sale, that information for sale. And just because these sites were shut down, it doesn't mean there's not more out there with them doing the exact same thing for lots of profit. What do the people do that buy our information? They open up credit card accounts in the victims' names. They get loans in the victims' names. But they can't do that if your credit reports are frozen. That prevents it from happening. So take profit away from the criminals, we'll be less likely to be victimized. So you might be wondering, okay, I get it, but how do I freeze my credit reports? On my handout, that's page 2 right there, you'll see information about the credit reporting agencies. There are 4 credit reporting agencies. Don't forget about a smaller one called Innovis. Go to the websites on my handout, freeze your credit reports. It's easy to do. It's free. It doesn't affect your credit scores, your credit card relationships, and it's easy to lift the freeze if you need to get credit checked yourself for legitimate purposes. Freezing your credit reports will keep you safe from many types of fraud. All right, next is more of an ongoing thing. Let's start with your mail. If you have a mailbox that looks like this, please don't ever do this. And you know what I mean. Don't mix pansies with salvia. They just don't work well together at all. What I'm talking about, of course, is the flag. Criminals will steal mail from mailboxes before the post office arrives. They're mainly looking for checks. They'll take a check out of your mailbox and they'll commit something called check washing. It's an epidemic crime going around the country today because your signature is still on the check. Banks are making it difficult to be made whole, for the victims to be made whole when this happens. So to prevent check washing, there's a couple of simple things you can do. Pay bills electronically. And we'll talk about mobile security today, computer security, that will help enhance your ability to pay things electronically. When you do write checks, use gel pens. The liquid in a gel pen is harder to be washed off versus ballpoint ink, which can be washed off more easily. When you do put checks into the mail, take them to an inside location at a post office, not even exterior blue boxes. Criminals are breaking into those around the country as well, trying to get hold of checks. Inside locations are much more secure, but paying things electronically is even better. Speaking of electronic methods, sign up for e-delivery. Criminals target these items in incoming mail. They'll target them in trash if they're not shredded properly. E-delivery eliminates that possibility of them getting a hold of these documents. When you do shred documents, make sure they're shredded with the proper type of shredder. Strip cut shredders are not secure enough. You want a cross cut, a micro cut, or a diamond cut shredder, much more secure for shredding things that have more than just your name and address on them. Anything more than that, of course, birth date, social security number should be shredded securely. Watch out for fake phone calls. Criminals have been known to act like they're calling from a federal agency or a major retailer. Don't believe them. It'd be hard enough to get these organizations on the phone. If you needed to talk to them, I doubt they're reaching out to people, all right? And Amazon doesn't care if someone bought an iPhone on your account. They actually like it when that happens. Your credit card company will catch fraud before Amazon will notify you about it. So don't believe the callers. Don't provide information to them over the phone as a result of these unsolicited calls. Text messages fall into three general categories of fraud. You won something, you missed something, or there's a gift card for you. If you hear those two words in a text message, it's almost always associated with fraud. Don't respond to these messages either. It will facilitate them committing fraud. If you get a message from a bank, it looks like it's coming from a bank and it comes from a 10-digit number, it's not the bank. Banks and other organizations apply for and receive short code assignments. Those make it easier for them to distribute text messages in a broad way. Criminals can't get short code approval, so they're using the 10-digit number to send trick text messages, whereas a short code, it's more likely it's coming from that institution. If you've ever seen the book, it's a children's book called The Phantom Toll Booth. The main character in the book goes on a series of witty and fun adventures. If you respond to a phantom toll notification, you will not be going on fun and witty adventures. You'll be taken down a path to fraud. Watch out for fake messages regarding tolls that you missed. They're fraudulent. Don't respond to those. Sometimes emails can be used for fraud. If you look at this closely, I doubt the Treasury Department is communicating from a Gmail account and asking you in a non-secure email for personal information. What is a routine number anyway? I think they mean routing number, but why would they need that if they're going to send you a check, which is what they say in the contents of the email? So really, none of this makes sense to begin with. That's what you always look for, by the way. It's just things that don't make sense. Now, we've covered a lot so far. We're going to get into cybercrime right now. Before I do that, I like to answer a question people often ask me. They want to know when I joined the FBI. The answer is 1988. I have a picture of me back then getting my credentials in Quantico, Virginia as a brand new FBI agent. There I am. And you might be wondering, this is my first day as an agent of the FBI. And you might be wondering, wait a second, is that Jim Croce joining the FBI? Or is that our presenter today? Listen, if I could save time in a bottle, the first thing I would do is go back and shave off that mustache. No, I actually wouldn't, because mustaches were big back in the 80s. I mean, literally big. You know what else was big in the 80s? Was the mob. So I joined the FBI because I wanted to investigate the mafia. And that interest came from my family. Growing up in Connecticut, my family had a very interesting tradition. We used to sit around a TV that looked like this on Christmas Day, and we watched a movie every Christmas that taught me about life, loyalty, and how business should be conducted. And everybody thinks that it was Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed, and It's a Wonderful Life. No, that's a good movie, but not the one that my family watched. The one that we watched that taught me about life and loyalty and how business should be conducted was this movie. And a lot of people think that's weird. It's kind of weird, but it's my family, not me. Anyway, that got me interested in the mob. And when I moved to Kansas City, I'm a brand new FBI agent. I was assigned to a mob case. I go in this room and I put on the headphones. We're listening to a wiretap of a mobster's phone. His name is Tony. Now, there's a lesson here, so watch what happens next. As Tony gets a call from Joe, as the FBI listens to the call, Tony says, Joe, I'm really glad you called. And Joe says, yeah, why? And Tony goes, I got a little problem. I think the FBI is tapping my phone. And Joe goes, well, what are you going to do about it? And Tony goes, well, I got a new number. So lacking any common sense, Joe goes, okay, good. Give me the number. Now, Tony gets a little common sense. He says, I better not give it to you on the phone. I'll meet you for lunch and give it to you then. And Joe says, well, I can't meet you for lunch. And Tony says, okay, I'll give it to you now on the phone, but I'll give it to you backwards. So he proceeded to give him these 7 digits in reverse order. What did the FBI do? We got our best cryptologist on that one right away. We had the number figured out in record time. It just took us 6 months with the powerful computers we had in 1988. But I use this example. It's a true story, not the 6-month part of the story, but the phone call is true because it illustrates a key point. How critical is common sense in everyday life? When it comes to preventing fraud, it's important too, because what criminals do is manipulate our thinking so we're not using common sense. They want us to use emotions to make decisions. And when we do that, we might be more easily tricked. So let's look at how that plays out in real life with some actual scams, examples of true stories. So as the term implies, an account takeover is where someone gets access to an online account. Now, one way they can do that is with emotion. If you got an email that looked like it was coming from the IRS, you might have an emotional reaction. But opening the email doesn't harm your computer, but will tell you immediately that this doesn't make sense, because if this were the case, the IRS would send you a letter, not an email. So this already doesn't make sense. But emotionally, some people may click on the attachment, and that could put malware on your computer. Now, the word malware comes from 2 terms. The operative word there is malicious. If that gets on a computer, some bad things can happen. Let's see what can happen. So let's say somebody clicks on that. So the malware is loaded on their computer. They don't know about it. And you may think, well, Windows Defender, antivirus program, McAfee or Norton's going to block that. Sometimes they do, but not all the time. If the malware makes the way to a computer like this, it could sit there for days or even weeks. When that person types in their username and password to their various online accounts, the malware comes alive and sends that information to the criminal who sent the email in the first place. Now, by the way, did you know monkey is one of the most common passwords in use in the United States? Yeah, we're going to talk about passwords later, and something you may like better than that, passphrases. I'm going to save that to the end, but hold that thought because this is an important thing to talk about. But anyway, get back to this example. So this is easily prevented. It's a huge issue, but it's prevented by just being careful where we click. If you get emails from unknown senders, emails that don't make sense like this, just don't click on the attachment. Even unsolicited emails that contain attachments, you don't want to click on that. That'll keep that malware off your computer. If we do that, we'll be well on our way to staying safe from fraud. Another thing to do is you could take your mouse and hold it over the sender. Hovering there, holding it there, will reveal the true sender. And now when you have the sender being spoofed like it is here, holding your mouse there reveals that this is coming from a Gmail account, not the IRS. So they're trying to trick us to make it think it really is coming from the IRS. And hovering helps reveal that. This next example is illustrated by these 2 pictures. Of these 2 people, who do you think is more likely to end up on an FBI wanted list in their lifetime? Well, if you guess this person, I've not been on an FBI wanted list, at least to date. But this person, I almost look like I could go into the mob at that point in my life. Anyway, this person currently is. And his name is Igor. He lives in Russia. He's currently wanted by the FBI. And look at what he's wanted for doing exactly what we're talking about. He's getting credentials. He's selling them online. And the thing is, because he's in Russia, he's not going to be extradited here to face charges. In fact, what he does against other citizens, it's not even considered a crime in Russia. So no extradition, no consequences, no deterrence. The crimes continue unless we know his tricks. So I already showed you how malware works. We're going to avoid that by avoiding the attachments. Another trick Igor or someone like him may use, not just in Russia but anywhere, is sending us to a fake website. Now, I'm going to replace the real email, the real logo of this bank. I've taken that out, and we're just going to show you how criminals dress things up. There was a name of the bank in the link as well. So they make things look real. That increases their response rate. At the very bottom, that's the incentive. They're going to pay you money to fill out a survey. Well, that's just a trick to get you to click on the link, right? There's no money, there's no survey. The link looks okay. It doesn't look weird. There's no international country codes in it, and it kind of looks like a normal link. But links can be spoofed too. So what we're going to do is hover to discover, holding our mouse over the link, and that's going to reveal the true site that you would be sent to if you were to click. And you see at the very bottom, that is now revealed. So that is a weird looking site. It's not the bank site, and it does have that 2-letter country code in it. Anytime you see a dot followed by 2 letters, that's an international country code, which tells you where that website is being hosted. And you might imagine that this one's in Russia. I doubt your bank or my bank is hosting websites in Russia. So another indication that this is fraudulent. All right, so let's take a look at this. But what happens if you click on the link? It takes you to a fake website. The criminal has set it up to look exactly like the real thing. They're hoping people put their credentials in there. That goes to the bad guy. They're going to try to log in at the real site of the bank. Now, most banks are not going to let that happen so easily, but still, we have a role in keeping online banking secure, which it generally is. We are the first link in the security chain, and we don't want to be the weak link. So we can log in directly, not through links. Even if an email looks good, even if a link in the email looks good, as I showed you, we log in directly, go to the site. If there's money in a survey, we'll be able to find it there. Also, setting up alerts on financial accounts is important, because if in the case that something does happen, they get access to our financial accounts, we're going to be notified. It could be a credit card site where we're notified that someone charged a credit card. It's not us. We call them right away. Same thing with money coming out of a bank. Once we know about the fraud, we can address it sooner. We'll have a better chance of preventing further fraud and having money refunded to us. Alerts play that role for us, and they're easy to set up and easy to use, just in case something happens. Now, I showed you that email a second ago. You may have noticed it had spelling errors in it, some syntax errors. Criminals are now cleaning those up with AI. I went to ChatGPT, an AI program, and I typed in, as you can see, give me an example of a phishing email that uses AI. And this is what it came up with. Now, it's taking a different tact here. It's not telling you about something good that's going to happen. It's going to tell you something bad has happened. And all we have to do is to log in that link to get to the fake login page. So they'll steal your credentials this way. So even someone who doesn't speak the English language very well can still be tricking us, because they're using programs to develop foolproof type of phishing emails that have no mistakes in them that may be red flags for fraud. And so I'll talk more about AI in just a second and how it's being used to help facilitate fraud in just a few minutes. Let's talk next about mobile banking. Now, mobile banking is considered to be very secure. The apps are locked behind many layers of security. Please use the passcode. That protects the mobile device, its contents, which is probably more than you have in a file cabinet at home, plus it keeps the apps safe. Now, I mentioned alerts a second ago. Alerts can also be fraudulent. So if you get an alert that looks like it's coming from a financial institution and they say, hey, call this number, guess what? We're not going to call that number. We're going to call the number on the back of our credit card in this case, because then we know we're talking to the right people. Now, take a look at this next one, this next fake alert. It's kind of funny, and I don't mean ha-ha funny. The criminals set up a website. They put the link into a text message, and I've taken out the bank name here, but everything else is the same. Take a look closely at it. It's not even a .com address. It's .corn. So they've set up a fake website to make it look like the real thing, hoping people don't notice that. And if you pressed on that link with your finger, that's going to take you to the mobile device's browser. So not the app, but the browser. So they're trying to steal your credentials this way. Now, we're always going to use the app instead. If there's a problem with our bank account, there's some issue, we'll go to the app and we'll be able to figure out what's going on there. You're locked behind those layers of security, and it's you're going to be in the safe zone accessing the bank information that way. Now, the next thing I want to show you is an email that I got from supposedly PayPal. I'm going to bring it up on my phone. There it is. All right, so I can't hover, as I showed you earlier, because there's no mouse with a mobile device. But what you can do is press and hold. Now, by pressing and holding on that site, on that link, that's called a long press. A short press is where you press on a link and you go there on your mobile device. A long press, or pressing and holding, gives you a reveal on the screen before you go there. So it's a preview of the site you'll be sent to. So it's like hovering with a mouse on a computer. All right, and that's not PayPal's site. You can see that right away. And pressing and holding reveals that. Also a 2-letter country code there. This one's not Russia, it's AC. And that stands for, it's a country, it's an island, it's 1,000 miles from land. Only 700 people live there. But one person on the Ascension Island is trying to steal my PayPal credentials with this phishing email. So cybercrime is worldwide, right? And it doesn't have to come from big countries with lots of people. It could be countries attacking other people's, groups and countries attacking businesses. It could be a little guy on a small island, not necessarily little, but trying to get information from a PayPal account. So here's how we stay safe. We watch out for attachments. We're going to be careful with clicking on attachments and emails from unknown or suspicious senders. And when you have links in emails that are going to take you places, do the hovering, do the pressing and holding, see where that's going to send you to. If we're careful with attachments, we're careful with links, we will reduce by exponential numbers, reduce the possibility that we'll be victimized by fraud. Email accounts are big targets for criminals as well. Now, criminals go after email accounts or try to hijack them by sending us phishing emails. Now, if you look at this closely, this email is not coming from Google because they didn't even bother to spoof it at the very top. It's coming from gmail@qmail.com. So they set up lookalike sites. They hope we don't notice that. And if you clicked on continue with verification because you don't want to get locked out of your Google account, it's going to take you to a fake login page for Google. Now, maybe you don't have a Google email account. Maybe you have another email provider. There's targeted emails for those individuals as well. And there's always going to be something in there emotional, right? Whenever you see words like this, phrases like this, a sense of urgency, do it right away before things get worse. That's when you don't do things right away. That's a big red flag for fraud. We're not going to reset our password by clicking on that link and taking me to a fake login page. That's when you really have to be careful when you see that sense of urgency. All right, back to this fake login page in a second. For email accounts, social media accounts, and also financial accounts for obvious reasons, those are the big three that criminals target. Save those as bookmarks or favorites in your browser. So if you have Google Chrome, it'd be a bookmark. If it's Firefox, they call them favorites. Save them in a folder there. You can access those anytime. You're not clicking on links to get to places, which could put you in the wrong place. You're searching for things. You could end up in the wrong place. Sometimes the search results are skewed towards bogus sites. And, you're not typing things in. We might make typos as well and it could take you to the wrong place. So get there, save it, go there that way every time through the folder. I don't like passwords. So in a few minutes, I already teased this one time, you're going to hear about pass phrases, which I like a lot better and have a lot more benefits. We'll get to that in a second. I highly recommend, though, that you use multi-factor authentication, MFA as it's called, or also two-factor authentication. Keeps those accounts safe. The criminal could be 6 miles away. They could be 6,000 miles away. Even if they have your username and password, they've got it from some breach. Maybe they got it from a trick that used against the victim. They can't log in because that code, that second factor, comes to the mobile device. I know it's another step. Most people don't like second steps, but it's one that keeps you secure. So it's like locking the door handle, also locking the deadbolt on a door. What we're doing here virtually is creating 2 layers of security, and that's going to make us more secure. It's easy to set up and use. Remember, for email accounts, social media, and financial accounts. All right, so let's go back to that fake login page. Let's say a guy named Mike is victimized by this. He falls victim to this, and he doesn't have multi-factor authentication set up. So the criminals are right in his Gmail account. All right, what are they going to do with that? Well, maybe they'll see if they can affect Mike's friends. Have you ever gotten an email that looks like this that's coming from someone that you know? And all that's in there is a link. And you might be wondering, why did my friend send me this weird link? Well, it wasn't your friend. It was someone who hijacked their account. Maybe they're trying to sell you something here, hoping you'll buy something or click on things, which will generate advertising revenue for someone. Or it could be things we've already talked about that are very devious. Malware loaded on a computer, or fake login pages, or a ransomware attack where they kidnap computers, hold them hostage, and demand a payment to release the computer with a particular type of malware. So all these things can happen in emails that we get, even from people we know. We have to be careful. That is, careful where you click, especially if it takes this format. All right, email accounts are composed of many different folders. I want you to keep in mind a critical point about email accounts. So let's say you were sending a document to your financial advisor or an attorney or an accountant, and it contained your social security number, right? And you sent that to that person, and they replied, "Thank you very much, I have it." And then even if you deleted that email that they responded to and their response, even if you deleted that, it still may be in your sent folder. And even if you delete it from your sent folder, it still may be in your trash folder. In fact, it will be for a number of days. And that is the place where criminals will look if they were to hijack. They will look if they were to hijack an email account. So that's why it's never safe to send sensitive information, especially socials, through normal email channels. Your financial advisor, anyone that needs sensitive information, that's a professional, lawyer, an accountant, or anyone else, will provide you with a secure way to upload documents and information like that. Sometimes it's called a client portal. Other times it's called just a secure upload link that takes you to a place where you can upload those documents securely. So think before you send social security numbers or other sensitive information through Yahoo, Gmail, any other email provider. Use the method they provide you to upload those documents securely. All right, Facebook can also get hijacked. Criminals do that the same way that they hijack email accounts. If you get a message from a friend through social media that says, "I need your help. I'm in Europe. Someone stole my wallet." Don't believe them. It's not your friend. They want your help. They want money. I have a great opportunity for you. Same thing. They want to move you to a private message service because there's this great crypto investment they want you to get involved in. Don't believe it. It's not your friend. It's coming from your friend's hijacked account. Next thing in this category is wire transfer fraud. We're going to talk about one particular type. That's an insidious type of fraud. It's romance scams. If you look in this column from the FBI crime report, in the row, I should say, you will see over the years the numbers started to go down, and now they're creeping back up again in this report that just came out in April. It works. They target people who have lost a loved one. It could be a widow or a widower, or it could be someone just looking to meet someone online. They set up fake profiles, fake pictures. They may use AI to generate conversations. May not have to be talking to a real person. They will move relationships as quickly as possible to the point of trust. Then they'll ask for money. 100% of the time, this is a scam. There'll be numerous reasons why they ask for money. It's always going to be right at the last minute before they were going to come visit the victim. And now all of a sudden something comes up and they need money. Now, this is a real thing. I'm going to show you a press release just from a week ago that came out of one of the FBI offices in the U.S. Attorney's Office in Arizona. I'm going to blow part of this up for you about a romance scam. And actually, they did extradite this person in Jamaica. We have an extradition agreement with Jamaica. So this person came to the United States to face charges. But take a look at how they were defrauding a elderly person by basically convincing her that it was a romantic relationship. And also, not only that, but that she had won prize money as well. And they had to send, the victim had to send taxes and other fees to get the prize money. I mean, this is really a combination of different scams. The victim lost over $400,000. Fortunately, that criminal is being extradited, as I mentioned, and will face charges in the United States. That doesn't always happen. But these scams are real. Now, public service announcements have to be very powerful because they only have a short amount of time to get across a powerful message. This is one about a romance scam that's going to fast forward here, and this could play out over days, weeks, or months. But the bottom line is, as they get ready to make this meeting that they've been building up to for so long, it's time to send the money. and they will drain people's accounts knowing that people will continue to send money because they are hooked psychologically in this relationship and they want to convince themselves it's not a scam, so they send more money. Just the opposite of what you expect. If you know someone who might be vulnerable, a friend, a neighbor, a relative, keep the lines of communication open. So you got to stop them before they send money. Once it's gone, it's impossible to get back. And again, they will continue to send money until there's no more money to send, even draining retirement accounts. All right, final part of my presentation. I'll talk about a couple things to do to protect your computer. Number one, in this section, watch out for pop-ups, especially ones that contain a phone number. This is a big scam. Look at the numbers. $1 billion plus, $1.5 billion have been lost last year alone, and that's just what's been reported to the FBI. It's called the tech support scam. If you get a pop-up on your computer or some notification that there's a problem with your computer, do not call that number. If you talk to someone, they'll want remote access to your computer, means they take it over. Don't give it to them. They'll put malware, steal information, or even worse than that. Also, when it comes time to do the transfer of money, they'll ask for gift cards. What legitimate organization that has provided you a service is asking to be paid by gift cards? That doesn't make sense. Or go to an ATM machine in a convenience store that converts Bitcoin or cash to Bitcoin. They'll ask for that too. Don't believe them. Don't provide gift cards. Don't call. Don't go to a store. Don't get on a website where you buy gift cards for someone in any type of context related to an online communication like this. Now, greed and fear can lead to an emotional reactions. All right. So it makes sense that you won a lottery that you didn't enter, that you have to pay a large sum to get money from the lottery winnings. That doesn't make any kind of sense, right? So it makes sense that you have a grandchild in trouble. They call you up and they say, I've been kidnapped, or I've been arrested, or I've been in a car accident. But don't call anybody else in the family to let them know this. Does that make any kind of sense at all? And criminals are now using AI. Again, another use of artificial intelligence to clone voices of kids they record online on TikTok, put them through a AI program, make them say anything they want. Easier to fool family members that's actually their family member that's been in trouble. Don't believe it. Have a code word in the family. I know it sounds silly, but the criminal doesn't know the code word. Jimmy, is this really you? You're in trouble now? You need some money. Okay, I can get you the money. But one thing, what's that code word we agreed upon in the family? They don't know the code word. They're going to hang up. Have some kind of code word or something only they would know the answer to, because AI is being used, again, to make it sound more realistic. Also, does it make sense that a law enforcement agency has an arrest warrant for you, but you can get out of it by paying the law enforcement agency with a gift card online? Does that make any kind of sense? Do you think the FBI, as it says in this pop-up, is locking up people's computers and asking for gift cards to unlock them? Really? Listen, when I worked for the FBI and I locked people's computers, I only asked for cash. It had to be small bills and non-sequential serial numbers to unlock the computer. And in an envelope tucked under a bridge, I pick it up and then I'd unlock it. Anyway, that's my MO when I worked for the FBI. Another MO that criminals use is they try to trick us with emotion, but always look for things that don't make sense. Did you know there was a Nigerian astronaut on a Soviet space station? And it's still a Soviet space station because it went up in 1990, or he's been there since 1990. And did you know this? And we only heard about it when we got this email. Anyway, sometimes when you see scams as ridiculous as this, or some that are more sophisticated, just remember, don't let emotions impede your ability to see things that don't make sense. Now, what doesn't make sense here, he's got 15 million in American dollars in a Nigerian bank account. All this pay he's accumulated. Why does he need your help to launch a rescue mission? Doesn't make any kind of sense. Here's another thing to do or not do. Don't mess around with these people. Don't say, hey, it's going to be entertaining. I'm going to act like I'm going to pay them money and just play. It'd be fun for me. It won't be fun. If you communicate at all something like this just because you want to have fun, you'll identify your email address as being valid. You'll get more of these things, and you don't want to go down that road. It's a rabbit hole. If you want to get out of emails that you don't want to get emails anymore from certain organizations, make sure you know the organization. If it's a legitimate company operating in the United States doing business, they have to take you off their list if they want to not get in trouble with the FTC, right? But criminals don't care about that. or people just trying to sell you something by sending out mass amounts of spam or scam emails. They're just trying to get your business. They don't care about any of the government's rules about this. So just mark those as spam when you get those, and don't reply, don't respond, don't say anything to them. Don't let them know they've hit a valid email box, because you'll end up getting more of those. It'll fill up your whole inbox with junk mail. Mark it as spam or junk depending on your email provider, and you'll actually get less of those in the future, as your email will start to do better filtering based on how you mark those. This is the easiest thing of anything we're talking about in this presentation. Just keep your software up to date. If you get messages from your Windows, your Mac, your iPhone, your Android that you have a software update waiting, go ahead and update it. That fixes bugs, which could be the result which could result in vulnerabilities for security. And then also update your browser, like Google Chrome, Firefox, if it tells you it needs to be updated, and your antivirus software as well. You want that up to date to stay safe against the latest threats. All right, I promised this twice. I've teased it. I'm going to talk about passphrases. I don't like passwords. Passphrases are better. And I'm going to give you an example of a passphrase, and you'll get the idea. But passphrases have two benefits over passwords. If you have a weak password, criminals can crack it with brute force methods. They'll be in your account in a matter of seconds. You can't do that with a passphrase, because the length, at least 12 characters long, makes it impossible to crack with brute force. So we'll get to that example in a second. Also, passphrases prevent credential stuffing. You get a 2-for-1 special with passphrases, and who doesn't like that? You might be wondering, hold on a second, what is credential stuffing? Okay, let's go back to Mike in the presentation. So Mike gave up his Gmail credentials based on this phishing email, which I showed you. So as you might imagine, they're in Mike's Gmail account, and they're tooling around in there, seeing what they can find, and they see that Mike is getting some emails from a credit card company. And they think, well, maybe Mike has a credit card, an online credit card account with that company, and maybe he uses the exact same credentials that he uses for his email account. And sure enough, he does. So they take those credentials from the email account and they stuff it in the online login page for the credit card site, and they're in there too. This actually happened in Kansas City. So there were dozens of victims. That's where I worked as an FBI agent. Dozens of victims, thousands in losses, because people were using the same credentials for different sites. All right, so that's what we want to avoid, and that's where passphrases come in. All right, so because we're going to make a unique one for each of our sites. All right, now before I get to that, did you know I got a text message from a hacker, and they said, I have all your passwords, and my reaction was this: thank goodness. What are they? Because I need to write them down. That went over at open mic night. That went over really well. It was like the best joke of the night. Anyway, I didn't get that text message, but I will tell you this. Storing your passwords or passphrases in your mobile device is not a good idea, because apps sometimes get access to our mobile device. You do not want apps to have access to your passwords, because who knows how secure they're going to be with it. So do not store them in your mobile device, your contact list there. Don't do it. All right. And besides that, you're associating with known criminals in your contact list, and who knows what they're going to do with that information. All right. So let's do good, better, best. And I'm going to close this out in a couple of minutes. And if you have questions, you can type those in. And I think Kara's going to try to help me by reading those questions to facilitate the Q&A session. All right. So good. Write them down. You can write them down. Just don't leave home with that book. Keep it in a safe place at home, secure. Don't leave home with it. And writing them down is okay. All right. Now, there's a better way. Using your browser to remember your passwords, because we have so many accounts, and your browser can store those. They do it securely and encrypted, and that's considered to be a very reliable and secure way to store passphrases. Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox. Would you like to store this password and save it for next time? Absolutely. I think that's fine. But with the most features and the most security options, password managers or passphrase managers, I've listed some on my handout. There's 5 of them. I use Keeper myself. It runs about $35 a year, but it helps me manage all the passphrases in my life, plus a lot of other things that it does. I like it, and so check them out for features and for price if you want to go that direction. You can also store your passwords or phrases in a note on a mobile device. Just secure the note by locking it after you've typed that information in and assigning a password to that note. It's kind of the easy way to do it without having extra payments because it comes free. Notes come free with your mobile device. All right, I'm closing with this. I was trying to come up with a passphrase for my favorite streaming service. This is my example of a passphrase. And I remembered that my family used to watch The Godfather every Christmas. We didn't stream it, of course. We watched it on an old TV. It looked like this. But Godfather 1 is 3 hours long. We wanted to celebrate Christmas. So about an hour into the movie, there's a great breaking point, and we wanted to celebrate at that point. So we watched the movie for an hour, and then we heard this phrase. Here's what we heard. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. When we heard this phrase, we stopped the movie. We got out a box of cannoli like this, just like in the movie, with the string and everything. We unwrapped the string. It was a big to-do. Anyway, and we celebrate Christmas in my family. I know that's weird, but that's my family, not me. Anyway, that got me interested in using that as a passphrase because I knew I wouldn't forget it, right? I wouldn't even have to write it down. So for my favorite streaming service, there it is. Leave the gun and take the cannoli. The guy said, take the cannoli. And he's a pretty scary looking guy. So I'm going to take the cannoli. I'm also going to take out the spaces because you can't have spaces in passphrases. There it is. It's super strong against credential stuffing, against brute force hacking, and you could be protected too with passphrases, but don't use this one because I thought of it first. It's my idea. Anyway, you might be thinking, well, Jeff, wait a second. Some accounts, they're going to want uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols. So I can't just use a passphrase like this. Okay, you can, but you can put those numbers in there. Again, it's going to make it harder to remember, harder to come up with. But the whole point is you're able to have something different. And that's the main benefit here. It's different for each account. So leave the gun, take the cannoli, whether there's numbers in it or uppercase letters, numbers, or what. It's not going to be used anywhere else for any other account. And that prevents credential stuffing. Plus, it's super strong against brute force hacking. All right. I'm going to leave this slide up there for a second as we turn it back over to Kara. If you want to order my book, that's what it looks like. Take a picture of that QR code. It'll take you to my webpage where you can order my book. If you're interested, I will take that credit card information and store it for eternity, and I will have that in my non-secure document right on my desk. No, I don't store the information. But if you're interested in the book, check it out. QR code, take a picture of that. I'm going to stop there. Thank you for joining me. And if there's any questions, I'll try to help with that. Kara?
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Everybody should have a little Q&A box at the bottom of their screen. You can go ahead and drop questions in there. They'll come right to me. I've already gotten a couple. So, Jeff, the first one we have is, how do we protect our children's information even though they don't have many accounts?
How do you protect your children's what information?
They just said information.
Oh, just information. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so the Social Security number is the most important piece of information that you have because that identifies a specific individual in the United States, right, that has a Social Security number and can be used to set up credit card accounts with some other information. But criminals have a way of stealing identities of kids as well. So the question is, how do you protect it? You can freeze kids' credit reports because you're giving your Social Security number out of children, right? When you register them for school, the doctor's office, they shouldn't want the social, but sometimes they ask for it, and in other places too. And you can't control what other people do. So you can create credit reports for a child because they shouldn't have them, and then freeze them, and those freezes can be lifted when they become an adult. Other than that, just keep the Social Security number as protected as possible. I know you're going to be asked to give it on occasion. That's where freezing comes in.
Awesome. Thank you. The next one we have is going back to passwords. What about using random letters and numbers and symbols?
Okay, you can do that. You can have a program that may, generate those those random numbers and symbols for you. I think that's fine as long as you have a way, to keep track of them for future reference. And if it's being stored on your browser, that's fine. But the key is you don't want to use those for multiple accounts because if somehow they hack into an account, they can't use it somewhere else. So if you're using different strings of characters for different accounts, I think that's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then how hard is it to reclaim your identity if it has been stolen?
Well, the first step is to go to an identity theft resource. It's identitytheft.gov. Those words, identitytheft.gov. And they will give you kind of customized approach to what you should do based on your circumstances. So that would be your first step. On my handout, you'll see a lot of information about steps, things to do as well. So between those two things, it should help you, get back to more to normality after your identity's been stolen. But it'll always be at risk if your social security number is out there, and that's where freezing your credit reports permanently comes in to keep you protected from most types of fraud.
Okay, and then one last one. Is there any way to protect or need to protect identity for family members who have passed?
Okay, that's a really good question. I have a little bit about that on my handout. So if someone has passed, then their social security number could be used to set up new accounts because the credit reporting agencies don't often check to see if people have passed away. So they still see this long credit history of a person. So what you can do is notify the 3 or even 4th credit reporting agency. You want to include the last one too, Innovis. Let them know that the person has passed away. There's a way to do that electronically, I believe, but if not, you can actually physically mail a copy of the death certificate, and that will inactivate that social security number. It can never be used to set up, financial accounts.
Okay, great. And then the last one here says, thanks for sharing your experiences, Jeff.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome.
All right, and that's all of the questions that we have, unless anybody has any others. Looks like we are in good shape here. Thank you so much, Jeff. This has been very insightful, and we will be sending out the handout from Jeff's that Jeff was talking about to everyone on the email list, everyone who is registered, and we will make sure that everybody has that. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email me, and I can.
And if there's something that comes up after, Kara, you can forward those questions to me, and I'll try to get those answered for you. Hi, John. How are you?
I'm great, Jeff. Thanks. Insightful as always. Kara, thank
Nice to
you
see you.
for
Okay.
coordinating.
Very
Yeah,
good.
no, this has been great. Thank you so much, John, for introducing us.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.